Well, welcome everyone to the webinar that we're hosting today. Missouri Enterprise is hosting this, and it's presented by DCSC. It's clever ideas to help attract talent and grow your operations. So Missouri Enterprise is the host, so I want to tell you just a little bit about Missouri Enterprise. We are actually part of the National Institute of Standards and Technologies, NIST, and so we are in a manufacturing extension partnership. We're focused mostly on supporting manufacturers in the state of Missouri. Now, there's one of us in every state, but Missouri Enterprise focuses on those manufacturers here in Missouri. We have a mission to strengthen and grow the state's manufacturing sector, provide expert guidance in areas such as we do things with process improvement, workforce development, technology, cybersecurity, and even energy efficiency, and a number of other things that we can help with. We customize our solutions to help businesses streamline their operations, enhance their productivity, and stay competitive in every industry that they're looking at. We also leverage our expertise in-house to drive the growth for our manufacturers just across the state. But today I'm pleased to introduce our presenter, Kirsten Austin, who's the president of DCSC. DCSC is a technology company specializing in supply chain solutions for distribution, manufacturing, and fulfillment industries. They offer services in ERP, shipping, inventory control, and operations. DCSC was established in 1991, and they were the creator of the DC Warehouse Automation Suite, which integrates with major ERP systems to streamline operations. With decades of industry experience, the company is committed to supporting its clients' growth through innovative software and consulting services. So if you guys have questions throughout the webinar, feel free to throw those in the chat and we'll be monitoring those so that way we can answer those questions at the end of Kirsten's presentation today. And then also, if you have any questions, feel free. I'm going to put in our area business manager. You see him there on the screen, Ty. He's your area business manager that if you have any questions, I'll throw his contact information in and you can shoot something to him if you have anything. So I'm going to turn it over to you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lindsay. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Let's see. Let me try this again. There we go. Can you see my screen okay?
Yes, ma'am, we can see it.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. And I appreciate the opportunity to present today. I also want to, before I hop into this, thank all the attendees. I know that October can be a very busy time. It's getting close on the year end. There's a lot of things going on in the world. So I've really put some time into this presentation. My goal is that you will walk away with one or two ideas that you can immediately implement in your operations and gain some ROI from that. So what I'm going to be covering today, and obviously I could probably talk about all of this for 8 hours, so I've condensed this presentation, but I'm going to talk about common challenges in today's times. We won't talk about the whole COVID situation, but let's just say I think we're all still recouping from that. Gonna give you some advice for competing in your industry, and I will let you know we work with distributors and manufacturers of all sizes. So we work with folks that only have 10 employees up to thousands and thousands of employees. So I'm trying to make this really pinpointed to give you some good ideas there. I'm also going to surprise you with some suggestions. They may seem like a no-brainer, but they're pretty straightforward and anyone can implement these. And then I'm going to end with resources for more information. So I'm going to keep going here. So I'll just give you, Lindsay, I think, gave a beautiful presentation of our company and what we do. I happen to be the president of DCSC and one of the co-founders. So I have been in this business for longer than I really want to admit, but I'm still alive. But basically, as mentioned, we work with distributors, manufacturers. We sell ERP systems. We offer shipping software, barcoding software. We also do consulting engagements. So if you want someone to come into your company just as an outside, just kind of as a fly in the wall, we do really, really good job with that. We also have companies look to us to manage projects or look for software or look for technology solutions. One of the differentiators on our company is we are extremely down to earth. We really try to use terminology that everyone can understand. We are very personable. We are very flexible. We have had customers for years and years and years that know my cell phone number by heart. We're very supportive of our clients, and we never want to change. We've been the same for 30 years. And we don't want to change that aspect of our business that, we're here, we're working with mainly North American distributors and manufacturers. And, even though we have a lot of experience, we learn with every new engagement and we want to be accessible. So that's pretty much the differentiator on our company. So we want to talk about common challenges. And these are not unusual. These are pretty straightforward. We have seen these escalate in the last few years. But the number one challenge that faces most manufacturers and distributors, and it's hard to compete, is growing revenue and profitability. That's a tough one. The second one is attracting and keeping a solid workforce. And I can tell you, I don't know if in your operations you're experiencing this, but all of my customers say, Kirsten, we're having a hard time just getting people to work in the warehouse, or, we can't even fill this specific position. So it's like the population hasn't changed. Where are these people? Well, there's some things that we need to change just a little to attract and keep good workers, because I think in the last few years, things have been very challenging for workers as well. They are looking at the world in a new light. And so we need to spin it differently. We need to behave in a different manner to get those good quality workers too. We don't want a bunch of non-productive humans just sitting around doing nothing. We don't need to lower our standards, but we should make a few changes, make a few spins. Also want to talk about competing against larger competitors. I know of this because my company, we're under 20 employees, and we compete against consulting and technology companies that are sometimes, 20, 40, 50 times our size. And we still are able to win deals. We're still able to keep our customers. We're still able to grow our business. But I do understand what it's like to compete against those larger competitors. So there's some simple little tricks that are not as expensive as you may think. And then, I don't want to come across as a therapist, but I also want to talk about the fact that business to me is personal. I see things on LinkedIn all the time, and on Twitter, and where people say business isn't personal. Separate yourself from business, etc. I actually take business very personally, and I think that treating people right and treating yourself right is really important to stay in business, compete, and grow. So I'll give you a few little suggestions as well. So the first thing is growing revenue and profitability. unless you're a non-for-profit organization, we're not out here to barely make a living or scrape by. So this is pretty common. Everyone is looking at clever ways. How can we make more money? And the very first thing is you need to get clever in cutting the right expenses. And I am going to give you some tips in the next slide here. There are things that you may not even think of. And, you know, I've got a real good resource for this. I have partnered with 2 cost reduction specialists in the last few years that have given me some very, very good tips. And I definitely, after today, if you're interested in these resources, we can send you obviously the recording, and I can send you some additional documentation. But the first thing is that this is my biggest gripe, is you'll see companies cut sales and marketing and technology expenses when times get tough. And believe it or not, and this is in my humble opinion, that is the worst thing that you can do. When times get tough is the time where you need to start advertising more, marketing more, reaching your customers more, reaching out to newer types of accounts. And additionally, technology expenses. This is important, and I'm saying manage these because I am a technology company, and you want to be careful with it. There's do's and don'ts to that, but this isn't the time to skimp on your cybersecurity. This isn't the time to be using seriously outdated software. This is not the time to be using tons of manual processes, because that takes up your employees' time as well and makes onboarding harder. So really, these are the 3 areas that I highly recommend. Don't, and it's the go-to for everyone. It's crazy, but don't do it. The other thing that we want to talk about is reaching out to your target market using lists. We leverage a list called Industry Select. Obviously, we work with MEPs. They are amazing. They have lists of manufacturers and distributors. But if you think about some of just the simple numbers here, there are over 600,000 manufacturers in the United States of America. That's a lot. So you want to partner with those people. You want to partner with new suppliers. You want to reach those people that you may not have even knew they existed. There are new companies being built every single year. So you may be able to partner with a startup. You may be able to partner with a company that might have bought a few companies that turned you down in the past, but now they're open to new ideas. So constantly brainstorm on your new target markets. Never ever give up on that either. There's always someone that would be happy using your product and services that you haven't reached. Also, this sounds a little bit scary, but this is important as well. If you are not analyzing your pricing, you need to do that. It seems like larger corporations, they constantly analyze their pricing. They're looking at competitor pricing. They're looking at their margins. They're looking at their cost of goods sold. They're looking at key indicators. But a lot of smaller companies, they're almost afraid to raise their prices. And if you have better services, or you have a better product, or you can turn that product around quickly, or if your customer support is more personable and you're easier to do business with, you should raise your prices, because most of your customers will understand that in order to maintain a good product, a good service, your costs are going up just like theirs are. So I will even give you an example. 2 years ago, I did raise our base pricing of the software that we published. I let my customers know 6 months ahead of time. I explained exactly how it would affect renewals. I explained exactly if they were going to add users, what they were going to cost. And I was a little nervous about it, but I will tell you that most of my customers totally understood. I only had maybe one or two who were like, bummer deal. The rest of them were like, I get it, Kirsten, you had to do it. So definitely keep on top of your pricing, because if you're undercutting your pricing and selling your services for cheap, obviously you can't be profitable. It's just impossible. I'm going to talk about cutting expenses. And again, there's a difference. I like to I wouldn't call myself cheap. I'm definitely a good tipper when I go out. If I buy anything for my business, I buy high quality. I don't always go with the cheaper vendor, etc. But I would say that my mom was German. She was really good with money. And we learned from a very early age, because I didn't come from a lot of money. We definitely learn how to stretch a dollar and how to be careful with spending. So, definitely think about this. You don't want to mistreat good vendors. You don't want to whittle them down to nothing if they're, quality and providing you good services, etc. But you still want to take a look at the easy low-hanging fruit there. So, I will talk about the first thing. I'm not a big government person. I will keep my political opinions to myself. But there are many tax credits that manufacturers and distributors can leverage. I do have a list of, just multiple ones of these. I am not a CPA, but there are ones that you might not have even known existed. During the last few years, the political climate has changed. So there's different work opportunity tax credits. There's R&D tax credits. So if you're creating a new product, if you're creating a new technology, if you're patenting a new good, you may be able to get some nice amounts of tax credit. There's different things for energy savings, and these have changed recently. So there's the 179D. That's something that everybody should look at, especially if you have a larger facility. There's new rules on sales and tax exemption. There's definitely credits for hiring people with disabilities. There's credits for training your workforce, etc. Your MEP partner should also know and be able to help you look into this. But this is huge. And, when I was younger and a little more naive, I just never wanted to even get anything from the government or anything like that. I was pretty stubborn about this, but you bet your bottom dollar, if I can leverage a tax credit, I'm going to do it. So definitely take a look at that. And again, I have a very nice list for that. I'm going to talk about your procurement strategy. We all get, let's say we all tend to get lazy at times. We all probably have an Amazon account. This is nothing to say anything bad about Amazon, but we might just, hey, we have an Amazon account. Well, let's just go on there and order this product. Or you might have had vendors for years and maybe they're not phenomenal, but hey, they're already in your system. You're used to Joe Schmo. It's convenient. I don't have to work harder. That's an absolute no-no. You should be looking at all of your vendors, all of your suppliers. You should be looking at pricing. You want to consider everything. You want to, you don't want to buy from the cheapest vendor if they can't get you product in, a month or so. Obviously, that's a no-no. That's not going to help. But just as you're changing your prices, your vendors' prices are going to be fluctuating. You're going to have other suppliers looking for you, looking to win your business. So give someone a chance, set up a meeting. If you're importing goods from overseas, we'll always have a global economy, but I'm very big on reshoring. take a look at this industry select list or talk to MEP. Is there someone else that can supply this metal to you? Is there someone else that can do this one small process for you that's only a state away, or, you know, maybe even in your own state? So just definitely always look at who you're buying product from, who you're buying your services from, etc. And just keep that apart and keep your mind open. Just it's worth the time. Meeting with one vendor, you know, could lead to thousands and thousands of dollars of savings for you per year. And it just sounds like a duh, but it's there and it's true. The other things, and you know, I hate to thump on phone companies, and I'm sure we've all had our pleasure with those folks. But phone companies are notorious for overselling contracts. Phone plans have contracts that have a certain amount of time that they will auto renew if you're not careful. And think about it this way. Let's say that you have 10 companies leave your company, but you still have all those phones on your phone plan. That's not a good thing to do. You would be amazed at the pricing between your different major phone vendors. So don't just say, hey, I'm always going to go with A, B, and B, or, you know, I'm always going to go with Shuffle. You know, take a look at your phone plans, because that is huge and that can be big savings. I kind of talked about this before, but there are employee training dollars, and this isn't just tax breaks, but there are training dollars available through certain government programs. And that I have customers myself. I have one that's in New Jersey that got a grant, and they were able to get all of their employees trained here in St. Louis, which was wonderful because they were away from their environment. We had a really great 3-day training. We showed them things in the software that they've been using for years that they never knew existed. They brought a list of things that they wanted to cover, and that didn't come other than the airplane tickets in the hotel. Basically that came from a grant, and that's huge. And they already started leveraging some of the ideas that they learned when they were here. The other thing, and I'm going to go into shipping a little more in depth, but shipping costs are just, that is a super, super, super low hanging fruit on where you can get some savings. And I can tell you, unless I do an analysis of your shipping, I can tell you we have our own multi-carrier shipping solution. And depending on your origin, where you're shipping to, the type of shipment, if it's less than truckload, if it's a parcel shipment, etc. There can be, up to 36 points of a difference between different carriers. That's not the norm. The norm is normally between 18, 22 points. But you want to take a look at that, and I will kind of talk about that in another slide and even get more in depth on that. The other one, again, this is, just a low hanging, kind of gee whizzer, but it does make sense. All companies, well, I would guess all companies use credit cards. And obviously, as mentioned, I'm a frugal gal. So I leverage those credit cards. I use their cash back points, etc. And I pay those credit cards in full every single month. I will tell you, there's 3 or 4 months during the COVID situation where I wanted to keep my cash in the bank. And I had to conserve cash flow because several people pushed off a large ERP sale, a large WMS sale. So the very first thing that I did, and your controllers probably know this, and your accountants, and you can do this on a personal basis too, but look at your credit cards, look at those rates, Call your credit card company, especially if you have great credit. See if you can renegotiate that rates. And there will be a credit card company that loves you and wants you. So be really, really careful. If you do transfer balances, and it could save you tons of money, and we're talking 20 percent in some cases, sometimes a little less, sometimes a little more. But you can transfer those balances. It's going to give you a little bit of time. You'll get a lower interest rate, and that'll give you just I call it buying time. Do be careful, however, and make sure that you understand all of the fees, because there are sneaky little fees with that you may not even know. So just be very careful with it. It's not a game. You do have to definitely pay attention to it. But that's another little simple way to look at cutting expenses. So that's important. So we're going to talk about some other ways of staying in the game. This is huge, and I know that Missouri Enterprise helps with this. But, these cyber thieves, and, can we all agree that we would like to drop kick thieves into another universe? They've been around since the dawn of time, but now they're even smarter. They have programs that are constantly looking how to get into your system. And it is really, really expensive. We have had several customers that did not protect their systems the way that they should and the way that we recommended. And they got hit by ransomware, which is ugly and awful. We ourselves, I can even admit it, it was a learning experience. We moved all of our email to the cloud, and we have uber duper security. I mean, because we're a company that works with manufacturers and distributors and logs into their system, we spend a lot of money on our system, on our firewall, on our antivirus, on all of that, and we are constantly updating it. But a couple of years ago, we moved our email to the cloud, and I mean, this is how simple this is. We had one system that we just didn't attend to change the password and create a token process, meaning you have to have a token to get into that system. One little system. And so we were waiting on a renewal from a customer that was worth $22,000 to us. Lo and behold, that renewal didn't come. We called the wonderful accounting folks, and they said, well, we made an ACH. We had our account look at the bank. No ACH was made. And so we immediately called our networking company, and we had found that that one little vulnerable system someone got into, someone communicated with our customer. Now, I wish they would have seen that the English was broken. I wish they would have made a phone call first. But they said our ACH information has changed there, and boom, it was gone. It was resolved. We did get our money. We then made sure our security on our email was tighter. Then on the flip side, we worked with our banks, and I recommend that you work with your bankers on positive pay, positive ACH. It costs a little more per month, but you definitely have to do that. But cash flow is imperative. The cyber thieves are out there, and you do not want that expense. So, I'm just telling you that that is really something that you should be looking at. You also want to protect your data and systems. That is really important. I cannot tell you how many manufacturers and distributors that I've just done simple consulting engagements with and do not have their systems locked down. So if someone can get into the ERP system, they can get into anything. They can get into banking. They can enter a new part number. They can look at, detailed, information. So every modern ERP and barcoding and WMS and shipping solution has security and configurations. You need to really think of that. You need to think of that when you first implement that type of technology, and you need to think of it on an ongoing basis. If you have an employee, unfortunately, that leaves, whether on good or bad terms, you need to make sure that that system is locked out. You need to protect yourself. It's very, very important. On the flip side, for all your happy employees that you love, you need to educate them on phishing and ransom attacks. So I myself, we on a bi-monthly basis send an email out to all of our team members that, number one, you are not to download any software without going through our network administrator. It doesn't even, we don't even care if it's a new web tool for meetings, etc. Also, emails are just getting crazy. Anybody can make an email spoof and make it look like something else. I get emails still from this day from employees' names that sound familiar, but they're misspelled, and they say, I've changed my bank account for my payroll. How do I change this in the system? Do you need my information? Duh. You can see things and look at this document. We delivered a purchase order. Be really cautious with that. Introducing, very, very bad viruses and spyware and control of your system can happen as simple from opening a document. So, like I said, you need to have strict rules in place. You need to make sure that, and because you might have some employees that are doing something on the side, which they shouldn't be, but you need to make sure that that's set up front, and that you're reminded, etc. And then you also have to constantly update your network security, viruses, etc. Because just as smart as we're trying to be to avoid those cyber thieves, they're getting smarter. They're writing better programming. They're getting more clever in how they get into your systems. So you have to constantly look at that. So, definitely lock down your systems and be concerned about security access. And again, it may sound like a no-brainer, but I cannot even tell you how many people have experienced that. As mentioned, because we deal with shipping every single day, all the time. We have close to 100 manufacturing and distribution clients that use our software for shipping. And one of the things that we talk about and think about this really, really hard. Obviously, if you have more expensive products or heavier products that are shipping, you could probably understand this. But even if you have simple products and you're shipping out a simple parcel shipment, you really need to check those shipments before they go out the door. So in our solution, in a lot of different shipping solutions, they streamline that, and they are looking and comparing the original order with the correct address. There are shipping validation tools that can be used to say, this is the wrong ship to address. You need to change it. Here's the suggestions from UPS or FedEx. Very, very important. So if you cannot afford a shipping software at this time, at minimum, check those shipments before you package that shipment up and ship it out your door. Because think about this. It's incredible how many people lose money on unnecessary customer returns. Think about it this way. Think about the product. Think about the time it took to package that product. Think about the shipping costs to send that product out the door. and then think about the customer service time, or even if it's just exchanged through an email or an order portal. Hey, this wasn't the right shipment. What do you got to do then? So either you're going to lose that product and say, keep it and I'll ship you a new product, depending on the cost of that product. But if you don't, you're going to have to ship that back. So you've now paid for shipping twice, and you're going to have to ship it out again. You've now paid for shipping 3 times. You're going to have to utilize your team, your warehouse team, to do that. So it's just critical. I constantly talk to distributors and manufacturers and say, you have got to get what goes out your door under control, period. So that's really, really important. The other thing is negotiating your rates with your chosen carriers. So, you know, I talk to, and this is not thumping on anybody. You know, I'll talk to people that say, we've always shipped UPS, or we have always shipped FedEx. And, you know, for certain volumes, you might have gotten locked into a contract, but this should be evaluated every year. So all of those carriers, their pricing fluctuates, and it depends on the services that they offer. It depends on the origin where you're shipping to. There's a lot of things to look at. But if you're not taking a look at that, that's really important. So negotiate that, be ready with information. You know, we have a shipping and a TMS tool that gives you all of that data that tells you how many shipments you've made, how many mistakes they've made, how many times they didn't get it to the customer when they promised they would. So just negotiate, negotiate, negotiate. There's nothing wrong with that. The other thing is we have a shop for rates shipping solution, and there's a lot of them out there. But what it does is allows, let's say that you're shipping out, you know, some parcels, or let's even say you're, you know, shipping out an LTL type shipment. What we do is we give you that information and allows you to look at all the carriers. And what it does is that it's looking at your accounts with the carriers. You can decide, do you want to use standard list pricing, so that's what they're publishing, or do you want to do a markup on what your costs are, etc. But you definitely want to spot check and see if there's someone out there that's giving you a much friendlier price, because when you accumulate this throughout the year, it's big time. The other thing is free shipping, free shipping. So we're in an age now where free shipping, everybody knows free shipping isn't really real. Someone's picking up the cost. But customers have, you know, learned that, hey, you know, I'm going to order from this vendor because, you know, I'm going to get free shipping. So my advice is very simple, but don't use the most expensive. So, you know, free shipping is part of today's world. And, you know, a lot of my distributors, and I have a distributor that ships out 10,000 shipments per day, which is huge. And they ship out little one line item shipments, and they do very large orders, and they also do truckloads. But for their free shipping, for their parcel, they use USPS, and they mention it. You know, our free shipping is through USPS. We do integrate with USPS so they can track their shipments, etc. But they're like, so it's going to get to you, you know, if you need it by Thursday, it's going to get there by Friday. So take a look at that. The other thing is consolidating the orders and considering the packaging. This is another low-hanging fruit. You know, take a look. Do you have multiple orders out for the same customer with the same ship to address? Wouldn't it be cheaper to put those all into one box rather than making 7 shipments? Take a look at that. So we have a software that actually allows you to do that. Other shipping softwares can do that as well. If you don't have that software, it's pretty easy to look at what software you do have and see your open shipments, and hopefully you'll be able to sort those by what still has not been shipped. and just make some decisions right there, because even saving, $15 on a shipment, a cumulative over time is going to give you some savings. Try local carriers and other resources. You would be surprised at some of the private trucking companies have come out. So take a look at them. And lastly, when you're talking to your customers, and this is mainly for my manufacturers who ship very, very large, heavy products or very high dollar products, we have a spot in our software. I think most of the shipping softwares do have this, but talk to your customers, because the customer may want you to use their account. So definitely, we're on the same team with our customers. They know that you're trying to be a profitable company. They're in the same shoes as you are. So definitely don't be afraid to have those types of conversations with your customers. You should be talking to your customers all the time anyway. So those are important. Growing revenue, you're going to see a recurring theme in this presentation, but you have to spend money on marketing, and you have to start looking at your marketing. Your website works for you 24 hours a day. I am sometimes amazed. I am working with a potential new customer, and they were a customer that went with another solution, but it didn't meet their needs. They called me. I looked up their website, and I'm like, wow, this barely says anything. And so when I talked to them, I said, I was looking at your website. It says that you have 17 warehouses, and they're like, no, we actually have 5. And they're like, don't look at our website. We need to redo the website. Think about this really hard. Your customer service agents may not be up at 2 in the morning, but someone overseas may be looking for your product. Think about this in attracting potential employees. They're going to take a look at your website. It gives them an idea of who you are, what you have. Think about your customers and potential customers that are ordering products off your website. Is it easy to order products off your website? Is it easy to search for products? Is it an easy checkout system? All of that needs to be looked at. Not to mention that SEO, which is search engine optimization, is critical, especially for distributors and manufacturers. Let me tell you, your competitors might tick your potential customers off. And if they do, and they say, hey, I really need another vendor to start buying this product from, first thing they're going to do is type it into Google, see who comes up. So there are strategies, and be careful with this, because there's a lot of con artists out there that say they can do search engine optimization, say that they're really good at it, and charge you tons and tons of money. Any marketing manager will have access to a true SEO agency, or understand that him or herself. But that is definitely something to invest in. Definitely, you want to put videos of your products. You want to put blogs out there to establish yourself as an expert. All of that is giving you potential attraction to a potential new customer. Again, brainstorming new products. Well, we've always sold to the airline industry. Does the trucking industry potentially need your product? Does the boating industry potentially need your product? Have you only sold within North America? Have you thought about selling it to Germany, to the UK? All of these carriers have really good programs for exporting. So think about it. Think about new opportunities. I will also tell you, this is a true story. I have a customer, and they are a manufacturer of lighting products, both small and very, very large. And what their main claim to fame is, if you've ever seen those big kind of lights, there's a metal, it looks like a dish behind the light, and they can either be really big or really small, but obviously the light goes through, you hook it up through there. And that dish is an important part of that component. Well, the construction industry was down, so that was huge for them, for people building new commercial buildings. So they were kind of known for that. And I happened to just be at their location one day because they were kind enough to let me bring a prospect through to see how our software worked. And so I stayed an extra day with them. It was the least that I could do. And, talked to all their department heads, met with the owner. It was really nice, helped them out with a couple of things. And, I mean, I'm an entrepreneur. I've always got ideas. Some of them are great and some of them not so fantastic. But I thought, why don't you make dog and cat food bowls? I mean, you've got the machinery to do it. These look so slick. I mean, you can get an engraving one, put a bone on there, I'll say my dog's name, Momo. You can personalize them. The pet business is $1 billion industry. You've already got people that you need to keep to work. They actually did implement that idea. It was surprising, and they had their marketing people put up a little website. They started really small and, looking at places called Etsy, kind of moved their way up to the big box boys, etc. And believe it or not, it accounted for 9% of their business, but it was a very high profit product for them because their material costs were fairly low. They already had the machinery and they already had everything they needed to ship products out. So again, find that dog or cat food bowl. You'd be surprised. And this sounds very, very simple, but market to your existing customer base more. Don't ever be afraid. I constantly reach out to my customers. I make it a point for my salespeople, my marketing people, my consultants. I say, hey, don't just always send an email, follow up with a phone call. I also make sure I don't bombard them with, if you buy this now, we'll give you one for free, because then you're just going to be, just trash in someone's email box. Be very respectful of that. But consistently have free training sessions, consistently send out an article that may help them, consistently let them know if you have new products or new services, because it's much more cost effective to upsell and work with an existing customer that you have an existing relationship versus gaining, or acquiring a brand new customer. So don't be shy. Definitely, talk to your customers. And then, as I mentioned before, don't be afraid to raise your prices on service and products. So many people are afraid to do that. Don't be afraid. And you know what? If you don't want to be the cheapest solution out there, more power to it. Make sure that you educate a potential buyer that, hey, you may be able to get this product for, X, Y, that, but what does the warranty look like? What does the craftsmanship look like? Have you looked at their reviews? Because, we do it really, really well. So in the end, you get what you pay for. So definitely stay on top of that. This one's a tough one. Attracting and keeping a solid workforce. All of us have issues with this. It is the hardest thing. And, even I'm looking for a couple new people right now, and you want to find that needle in the haystack. But everyone complains about this, and especially distributors and manufacturers. This is such a common theme. So I'm going to give you some tips here, and I'm hoping that you can even implement a few of these. But the website, I know, sound like a repeat factor, but think about this. We want to attract the younger generation. I have a niece, and she's in her 20s, and I can call her and leave multiple voicemails and we'll not hear from her. But if I send one text, boom, she's on it. So the younger generation is very, very used to looking at the website. It's gonna show them, okay, let me see how impressive their website is. Make sure that your website is good on mobile devices as well. So you can work with your designer on that. Make sure your career page is updated. And then also finding people is like a needle in a haystack. Guess what? There are people looking for jobs out there, and they do have good work ethic. They're out there. Trust me, they are. But they might not know that you're the right fit for them or that you even have an opening. So leverage every single form of social media that you can. Think of other forms of social media. Think LinkedIn, think X, formerly known as Twitter. Depending on your products and services, think Facebook. You know, think telling your own employees you're looking for someone. Do you know of anybody good? So definitely make sure that you don't that you don't skimp on putting a very, very direct message on what you're looking for on your career site. And then also let's talk about this. This is really silly. I know super, super good people out there that are even friends of mine, and they're looking for jobs. And in these larger corporations, they basically are leveraging a little bit of AI, artificial intelligence, and there's good and bad in that. But their resumes make it tossed because they don't have the perfect degree. I'm into, getting your degrees. I think that's awesome. I personally take experience over your degree and your work ethic over your degree, and that is just hands down the truth. So be fair in your interview process. Obviously, if you are looking for a supply chain manager, you don't want a high school graduate to apply for that. I don't know, maybe no, if they're a genius, they could, but no, just kidding. But really think about how you're getting those resumes and think about how fair you're being in the interview process. I think it's just important to treat people the right way. Like I said, I do think business is personal. I always will. When we are looking out for someone new, we do have a process where, if we look at the resume, it looks good. We look at the resumes that might even have something missing, say there's something there, I want to look at it. We set up a phone call. We ask what kind of environment they like to work in, ask all sorts of questions, bring them in for one interview. In that interview, explain, kind of in general what a day in the life would be, and just say this is what our environment is like. And, we want to narrow down our candidates. We're going to talk amongst ourselves, give real dates. Don't ghost your interviewees. That is so rude. Don't do that because people remember that. We give them real dates. Hey, by Friday, we'll be narrowing it down to 2 candidates. And our final process will be, you will come in, you will meet with our team, and you will be with us for 2 hours to go over this. And we will ask you some questions and you will ask any questions. And if everything's good, last is a background check and we're ready to go. Don't be unfair in your processes. So many companies now either ghost if someone's put in an application, they say, yeah, we got your application, we're very interested, and then they never follow up. Hey, maybe they lost a contract with another company and they're not hiring. It takes one simple email or one simple phone call to say, I'm very sorry, that position is no longer open and we will keep your resume on file. So be very, very kind and think about that because it's also showing what your company is like. And then if you can do all of that and you still aren't finding that perfect candidate, I will tell you that we have used ZipRecruiter and they really do a good job. I'm not, saying only use them. I mean, look into the different contracts available, but they are very professional. And actually one of my employees who's viewing this demonstration today came in through ZipRecruiter. So, if you can't get that perfect candidate, then start leveraging, service and job boards just like that. Let's talk about those lower level positions. The big smiley box company has warehouses everywhere. And and they may be able to, give a higher amount of money for your hourly rate, et cetera. Who knows? But I tell all my customers, you can compete. And it starts with number one, how you spin it. And it also starts from what the opportunities that you have. So there are going to be a mammoth amount of manufacturing jobs that are unfilled in the next few years. So it is imperative. If you're a parent, you need to start talking to your kids about that. You know, that guy who used to take his toys apart and put them back together? Hey, there's good money to be made in manufacturing and in auto repair for that matter, et cetera. So think about trade schools. And I'm going to give you a few tips. So um, I did not know, and this is just in my specific industry, but I didn't know that a very large technical college here in St. Louis had a developer program. And I just saw it on LinkedIn somewhere, and they invited me to have a booth there. And, I said, hey, I'll give this a shot. I've never presented there, and I saw all these huge corporations there, so I knew that they definitely get some good workers out of this specific trade school. So, I went there and I thought, what's going to attract these young kids to my booth? Well, okay, we're on the hill in St. Louis, so there's tons of good Italian restaurants. So, I brought really good sandwiches, tons of them. And it sure did attract those folks over to my booth. And everything that could have gone wrong must have gone wrong, because somehow they put me in the automotive. And finally, when I just, saw and, I learned all about the automotive business, finally a young kid came and he goes, most of the people that are hiring, for developers or security or technical cybersecurity positions, they're in building D. And I'm like, oh, so that says it all. And he goes, but you know what? My brother's in that school. Let me go talk to the professor. I was so lucky. That professor felt so bad. He came by the booth. He brought some students. Then I talked to him some more, and he said, would you mind coming and talking to my class? I came into the class. I gave a really good presentation, explained what we have. Boom, got a hire from that. I learned from that because all of these schools, some of them are easier to talk to counselors, and they do have guidance counselors to help position people. But some of them, how do I say it? They can be lazy. They don't do their jobs. I make it a point to try to reach the faculty of that school. And guess what? Almost every single college, every single trade school, they have faculty, and you can get their email and number. And the faculty loves it, and professors and teachers love it, because what better way to open up their students' minds than by bringing in a company? So if you've got a wonderful distribution company and you want to explain, hey, this is what we make, this is who we ship it to, this is what we deal with, by the way, we have warehouse positions open. And, not only is it a paid internship position, but we hire from within. Before we hire someone brand new, if there's anyone to be promoted that's doing good work, we look from within. You're also going to learn about supply chain. So it's how you spin it. Don't just say, we need warehouse workers, and big whoopity doo, or we need machinists. No, we've got a great program. So definitely, how you spin it. Think about working with the high schools, even working with colleges, working with trade schools, and definitely promote yourself the right way. No offense, I'm not a big feminist by all means. I think people should get hired from the job for a job based on their skills, based on their work ethic, etc. But I will say that there's still women are still underrepresented in the distribution and manufacturing industries, which I don't think is. I really can't wrap my hands around this. And of course, I've been in business for 30 years and I've seen it all. I love men. I don't think men are toxic by all means. I mean, maybe 8% of them, but same thing with women. I love men and women equally, but let's think about women. If anybody's married or has a girlfriend, and you got to know this, women are really good at a lot of things. We're good at project management. We ask questions. If something needs to get done, if somebody needs to get picked up from school, if something around the house needs to be done, we ask the questions. Who's going to do it? When's it going to happen? If it's not done, women are going to do the follow-up. They're very good at attention to detail. I have a wonderful software project manager here. She has been with me for 28 years now. She started off doing simple support, and just slowly, just because of her hard work, because of her efforts, because of her intelligence, has moved up. And now she is the director of our professional services and development. But she is hands down one of the best project managers I know out there. So, if you don't have a woman-friendly environment, and I'm not saying you have to bend over backwards, to make it a woman-friendly environment, but really think about some things. Women can be very essential. So think about, ways that you can bring in new moms. I've got a whole bunch of ideas. I won't talk into it now. Women also may not want to work full time. They may be going to school. Think about job sharing, think about part-time hours. So just bring in some type of, woman-friendly tone to your organization, because, I'm a woman, we're out here, we all need to work. So it's pretty important. Then let's think veterans. Who better to hire than veterans? Imagine this, and I know we've all had nightmare stories about the younger workforce that wants to work if they want, when they want. They kind of saunter in, those days are, they might have been there for a while, but I think that the world is going to start balancing itself out. So think veterans. They already have work ethic. They already know how to get along with the team. They already have a lot of knowledge. They already have a lot of self-discipline. So definitely think veterans. You can work with different veteran agencies. And as mentioned before, there are opportunities and tax breaks for this. You can also work with disabled veterans. There's just a plethora of ideas here, but being the daughter of a man that ended up being a lieutenant colonel, and who was an engineer, and was career Army. I love veterans. I think that they're an asset that is totally overlooked. Then let's talk about there's a difference between training and onboarding. If someone gets a new job, no matter what that job is, unless you have no trepidation, you're going to be nervous when, oh, I'm starting a new job. You've got some change, you've got new people you got to work with, etc. The way you onboard people is extremely important, and you need to think about it. Instead of hiring your new warehouse professional and saying, yep, this is where you go to pick this, and you're going to work this aisle here, and then what you do is you bring these boxes down here, or so on and so forth, and best of luck, ask Hank if you have any questions. No. If you've taken the time to hire some people, and especially if you need multiple people in your warehouse or plant, I highly recommend onboarding multiple people at the same time, since you're taking the time and effort. But really think about your onboarding process. Number one, make them feel welcome. Everyone in the world wants to feel special and welcome. Make sure if they need to use a software that they're already set up and ready to go. If they need to use their phone, or if they're in the warehouse and they need to use a walkie-talkie, they're ready, set up, their security is configured, they're ready to go. Make sure you train them correctly. Don't just turn them loose and say best of luck to you. Constantly revamp your training. And also, one of like my very best customers, they are a very large distributor in Austin, Texas, but I think it's really neat. But they have team leads in each area of their warehouse, and those team leads, they allow them to help hire people, train them, and even, unfortunately, if it must happen, terminate their services. But the team leads are the ones that design those onboarding programs. So definitely make sure that they're not like Alice in Wonderland on their own. Make sure you're there to answer questions, that you train them properly, that you personalize the onboarding process, because you definitely want to keep a good employee. Also offer clear incentives based on individual and team performance. I have worked with companies that it is horrible. The politics are terrible between departments. Um, Even though there should be a little bit of competitiveness in doing a good job, it's just a unhealthy, toxic work environment. It's creepy and it's not good. And usually that's not going to make for long-term team members. So, you do want to definitely reward good performance. So you want to look at everybody on an individual basis. Any good leader, any good manager knows what someone is capable of. And I am a leader myself, and sometimes you'll get someone that is their threshold. You can coax them, you can train them, you can coach, you can try and try and try, but that is their level. So you make a decision yourself. Do I, this person has good work ethic. This is their level. This is as far as they can go. Could I improve maybe 2 little bitty things for them? Sure. Then I'll throw out that small incentive piece for them based on an individual. Obviously, there's always the 80-20 rule. Those really good employees, make sure that you're acknowledging them. And I've had years where, especially during the COVID, after 911, I could not give anybody raises. I couldn't do that for myself. I was very transparent that I'm sorry. I want to keep everybody on board, but I can't even give you a raise. I do want to let you know when things get better, you're going to be the first person that I look at. So just be very transparent. And make sure that you don't hold that carrot that doesn't exist. I mean, definitely make sure that you can put your money where your mouth is, and get creative. Depending on the size of your company, there's different things you can do. But one of the things that I think is positive is recognizing a whole team. We had a really good distributor. Where were they? Oh, they were in Houston. And when they went live on our system, and they were kind of a larger distributor, so it was big. Yeah, we had to go through a lot of testing and training and CRP sessions and a lot of overnight work and everything else. But their goal was, hey, when we go live with the new system, we don't want to tell one customer we can't ship an order because of the new software. In fact, we don't want a customer to even know. So their workers worked their tailbones off. We went live without a hitch. And so they had a huge barbecue. They used their credit card points to just get prizes for their employees. You can be really creative. Think about your employees as well. This is also a human being. Recognize their birthday, for Pete's sake. Recognize their work anniversary. I mean, even if it's their first work anniversary, that's huge. That's a year into it. If you don't have money, you can still get creative. What about an additional day paid off? Wouldn't that be nice? And most importantly, engage your team, especially in a manufacturing and distribution environment. And when I just do my consulting work, where I do a walkthrough. What I do is I meet with the executives and kind of explain, what I'm going to do this day and say, I'm going to circle back with you at the end of this engagement, whether it be at the end of the day and, before I do my write-up, and then I ask to walk the floor. I mean, think about it. Your ground troops are there. They work with your products. They work with your machines. They work with your software systems, etc. But if you just want to treat them as little worker bees and you've got someone smart that says, hey, wouldn't this be a good idea? And you don't give them the time of day, someone else comes along and wants that person and offers something a little bit better than you, you're going to lose them. So engage in your team. And I'm not saying, I totally have good work ethic. I run a very structured environment. So I'm not saying that you have to run a circus and have peanuts and popcorn and all of that and, just a bunch of nonsense and goofiness. I'm not saying that at all, but I'm saying that just adding a little kindness and making it more transparent that you're willing to listen to your good team members, not Nancy complainer or Bob, the guy that's always negative that no one wants to work with, but that you're good workers, those really good ones that have been there for a while, or those new ones that might have seen something that you didn't. So I will even give you an example. I did a walkthrough for a manufacturing plant in Ohio one time. And, I looked at the layout and, I talked to the executive team and I basically said that this is what my procedure is. I'm going to do just an innocent observation and I want to talk to the people that are actually in charge of your inventory, that are in charge of shipping. I want to talk to your plant manager. And then I'm also going to ask for a walkthrough, but I want, a longer term team member to walk with the plant manager and myself. And I want them to be able to answer any kind of questions openly. So went through a manufacturing plant, saw a lot of good things, saw a lot of low hanging fruit that I could just make one or two suggestions that even, without, a huge amount of technology, it would save them time and money. But I had one of the workers there. I simply asked, why is your this specific machinery of your most popular product all the way back in the corner of the plant? I mean, it's not even near your shipping station, it's not near any of your lines. I mean, and he's like, oh God, Kirsten, thank you so much for saying it. Do you mind putting that in your report? I said, I'm not going to even put it in there. I mean, I'll put it in the report. I'm going to talk at the end of the day when I talk to the executives. And I said, well, why won't they move it? Because Bob says it's locked down. We'd have to close down for 2 days, or we'd have to come on, in on a Saturday and unbolt this and do this. And I'm thinking to myself, come on, how many steps do you make? I talked to the executive team. Boom. Next weekend, one of their engineers, a couple of their manufacturing workers came in on a Saturday. Yes, they were paid to work overtime, come in there. They move that machine, move a little bit around, and boom, they are still saving money because of just that one thing, a machine location. So again, listen to your ground troopers and really take heed in what they say, because if you're doing good and you're profitable, hey, that might roll over to them. So you want to make them happy and engaged. That's very important. We're almost done in the presentation, but I'm going to talk about supply chain issues. I live it, I breathe it. We have all been there the last couple of years, and it is significant, it's real. I don't care what the newspapers say, there's still issues that still need to be resolved. We still need to plan for the worst if it's to come. But these are some things that you can start looking at now. And the very first thing that we've mentioned several times is start thinking out of the box and look at more suppliers of which you can source product from. Again, I highly recommend working with, Missouri Enterprise or your local MEP. Industry.net, like I'm saying, is a beautiful listing. So, make sure you're looking there. And on the flip side, you put yourself there too so people can find you. The other thing is investing in the right technology. You've got to have a good ERP in place. If you're a growing company and you've never implemented ERP, you start in baby steps. You should have a warehouse management or at least barcoding in place, because think about this, your data, if it is not accurate, that's not good. Looking at accurate data is critical for purchasing, for planning, for sales. Let's say you have your largest customer that maybe makes up 27% of your sales, and they want you to ship their orders incomplete. They don't allow for partial shipments. Do you really want to accidentally sell to Joe Schmo one item that's going to ruin a large shipment for a customer? Well, this happens. Things like this happens on a daily basis. I've seen on the flip side, people are purchasing products that they don't need because they haven't even counted them. They're not even live in the system. So definitely investing in the right technology is important. And then it's also important when you think of this in times of time for your employees, by using technology. If they're using scanners and they're scanning things as they go, so everything's tracked in real time, they're not going to have to stop, write something down on a piece of paper, then later go let time lapse, and then go enter it, and then they may fat finger the wrong number in, and it's just wrong. So even if you're a smaller company, I mean, there's ERPs. We sell ERP system that you can only have to, you can have as low as 1 or 2 users. So, definitely take a look at that. Definitely make sure that you're always looking at your ERP. Are all your people trained on it? Is there any, like even a small product that can enhance it? So definitely technology, and I don't know why people skimp on it, and they still do. They're scared to spend money on technology, but yet, they're gonna, pay for overtime to have people come in because you can't get all your work done in a day. Give those good employees a barcode and a scanner and a good solution and see what they can do. Definitely look at that. Also, dirty data. This is my huge pet peeve. Dirty data is when you have inaccurate data in your system, and especially if you're a distributor or a manufacturer, that is really just it's gonna impact you, and it's not a good way. Think about this really importantly. Not only do you purchase products, do you want to know what you have in stock, what you need to create a work order for. Then if you even want to get fancier and run an MRP, which is material requirement planning, or a DRP system, think about this. None of that works on an inaccurate basis. In fact, that's going to flag purchase orders that you don't need, or not flag purchase orders that you do need, or cause you to have work orders out there to build product that you didn't even need because you had some in stock, etc. So be very, very careful about who can enter a new item or part or bill of material. And that is just such an easy thing, but I can tell you, people still are not locking down that. So definitely, if you're in a manufacturing environment, only this group can enter a new bill of material. Only this group can enter a new item. And I'm not talking about duplicate part numbering, because sometimes you may have a part and you call it X1Z, but when you sell it to your customer, they call it 312. It's still, you still need that item master. You can do a cross reference. There's things you can do about that. But if you've entered the same part as 3 different master items, it's just going to throw everything off. And this is just so easy. Review your bills of material on an annual basis. Don't just let anybody be able to enter data. Same thing for customer service. Make sure your customer service people are trained. Make sure when you add a new customer, they're not in your database already. Make sure that you double check your information with all your customers as is. Just a simple, we use a tool called MailChimp to send out email marketings, but hey, we just want to make sure that we keep our data, updated in our system. Is there any changes? And when we ask them. So be very, very careful of your data, and that is sacred, because all that other fun stuff, that advanced technology, that AI, that robotics, all that really, fun stuff that everybody's talking about, if you've got data that is just disgusting and untrustworthy, I mean, you could always even make it worse by automating it. So take a look at your data and really hold on to that. The other thing I want to talk about is being more flexible during troubled times. During the whole COVID situation, our hours here were different. I still thank my team members because, oh my gosh, they stepped to the plate, because a lot of our manufacturers and distributors that used to ship very large shipments, which, that's still complicated, but they would ship out one large shipment to someone else's DC and they would do the fulfillment. Because of the COVID situation, they were now shipping on behalf of their customers. It's called blind shipping. So you order something, let's say from Amazon, but really DCSC is shipping it out, but we're making it look like Amazon. A lot of my customers had to ship out thousands of little one-line shipments. Their warehouses weren't set up that way. Their security wasn't set that way. They weren't even trained. So we worked a lot of weekends, a lot of nights. We were in very close contact with our customers, and they really appreciated that. That's what you do. I also watched, it's not that the Washington Post, no offense for anybody that likes it, but I watched a really very interesting video about what it takes for a product to come in, let's say from Asia. I mean, you think you order, a battery charger or a pen or, something like that. There are so many steps. I mean, that product has to be, put onto a container. Those containers are then put onto a ship. There are really ship captains in the sea, and we know that the sea is dangerous itself and has its own little things that go on in the supply chain that I won't get into to detail. So then those ships get into the ports. We have many, many ports in the United States of America, but there are several important ports that we always use. So during the pandemic, those ships are out there on the ocean. That product is there. Talk about a nightmare. So then we have not enough workers because of the whole COVID situation. They're able to check in those containers. And we've got lines of truckers that don't even know what to do. Do I sit? Do I go? What do I do? So, during tough times, and always really, be nice to those people. Be nice to those warehouse workers. Those truck drivers are the backbone of our supply chain. I was in a warehouse the other day, and I was just so amazed by how the warehouse manager talked to the gentleman, the truck driver, because they didn't even have any other shipments scheduled. And he's like, no, your dock appointment's at 3:30, and it was 2:15. Come on, man. I mean, seriously, you can't let that guy unload. He's probably been on the road forever. Lord knows if anybody's done a long distance trip, those guys have a lot of work to do it. I also have a wonderful customer that they, did some really wonderful things, and they still have those implemented. They have a little area for the truck drivers. They have 2 showers that they keep clean. They're private. They have phone chargers. They have snacks set out, etc. So now it's not the time to not help people. That is just so important. And just the 2 points that I know in my 30 years of experience that manufacturers and distributors lose control of. And when we talk about lose control, lose their material control, is during the receiving and shipping processes, in and out. Think of it. I've done consulting agreements where I've walked into a warehouse. I see tons of stuff set by the receiving dock, but it's not checked in yet. And I'm like, well, why is all that stuff sitting there? Organize this. You need that stuff checked in right away. You really need to prioritize the importance of both the shipping and receiving process. And if you don't have technology to help you with that, make sure that you have a good checks and balances and good procedures set up on those, and people are trained and they do it. Last but not least, this is just, if you are not cycle counting, I am telling you right now, cycle counting is critical. All of my customers know this. All of my customers cycle count. Cycle count it's almost like cleaning your house. If you wait to clean your house until you have a big party, you're like, oh, wow, man, I didn't even realize. I mean, I have dust everywhere. This is bad. I should vacuum. I should do that. Versus if you keep your house clean every day and maybe do one little project. I'm going to wipe down all the ceiling fans on this day. I'm going to do this. You just kind of keep up with it. That's what cycle counting is. So, if you want to count a specific area in your warehouse, or you want to count your items that cost you the most money, or you want to count your most heavy hit items, hit meaning they're touched a lot, you sell a lot of them, or you use a lot of them in your production process, implement cycle counting. Sometimes you can't avoid a full physical if you've bought another company. If your bank if they're doing a major audit and want you to do a full physical, and obviously we all know that, can cause a shutdown or overtime or weekend hours. But in general, cycle count, please cycle count. If you learn anything from today, cycle count. Competing against larger companies, we've already talked about this. Update your website. If that larger company made someone mad, they're going to be looking for you. You need to be found out. Differentiate yourself with better, more personalized customer service. Yes, we are in the digital technology that everybody talks about. Yes, you can have a little bot, when you go to someone's website, that'll say, how can I help you? But they're only as smart as AI has trained them to be, right? There are so many simple things. Like, number one, put your phone number on your website and invest in customer service, because sometimes people just need to talk to somebody. Especially if it's important or huge, or even if someone's upset, that is the best. You don't want someone to silently go away and not be your customer. So definitely make sure that personal service, if it's your expertise on your product that you have, if it's your quality, definitely promote that and differentiate yourself. If you offer free training on your products, anything. There's little things that you can do. Like in our shipping solution, you can personalize the shipment. So you can say, dear, the person that ordered that, thank you for the order. Hope you have a great day. Whatever, something similar to this. And I don't know if anybody's ever ordered from Chewy's, but I would give. I just want, I might even put it on LinkedIn. I would like to pick their brains and tour their operations and talk to whoever's in charge there, because their order entry, their shopping cart, their customer service, their personalization, their shipments, their communications on their shipment, their tracking, everything is bar none. But you can do it too. Small companies can do the same thing. If you have the right tools in place, the right training, you can do it. Obviously, be a great place to work. So this is duh, but if you have miserable employees, they're not going to be out there looking for business for you. They're not going to tell somebody else, hey, you know what, DCSC has a job opening, they're going to leave. And to train a new employee versus keeping a really good employee happy, you don't even have to know the numbers. They're there. So, just try to be the best place to work as possible. Like I said, you don't have to be, a zoo and not have control and none of that. Everybody, it's you're a business. You have to make money, but still be nice to people. Consider your team. Constantly improve your processes. You always want to look at your processes. There's always the big bang, like you rip something out and do it all over, or maybe you should do something one step at a time. I'm for doing things in a phased approach. You need to improve something on your receiving area. Let's talk about it first. Let's see what's wrong. Let's analyze it. Let's talk about what we would like to do. Let's test this out. Let's do this. So constantly any little improvement, it's accumulative. It definitely is good for your company. So, and then show off the benefits that you do have. So both from a perspective of your employment. Okay, you can't pay this much per hour, but you offer more time off, or you offer flexible working hours. Are you a morning person and you'd rather come in at this time instead of this time? You got it. So definitely don't cut yourself short. Show off the benefits that you do have. All right, so last but not least, and thank you for those who've stuck through this, is we want to talk about your sanity. So let's face it, especially in the last few years, that was just definitely operationally challenging. It was personally challenging for a lot of people. Their whole worlds were changed. Stress is definitely not good. I am an avid reader and I read books constantly. I watch YouTube videos, I listen to podcasts, etc. But I do want to tell you a book that you should get and you should read and you should put it on your list. And it's by Professor Pete Alexander. And it's basically Lighten Your Day, Fast and Easy Effective Stress Release. I know it sounds a little goofy, but he is a professor that understands that stress affects your body. It affects your work. It is really important to know how to keep that in check. And also as a leader, you need to understand the signs of when people are getting stressed, and you need to make sure that you help them. So, it's very important to take care of that. And if there's one book, I mean, I could go on and on about it. Just read it. It's really good. Also, think about this is when you're going through the worst times, when you just feel like, oh my goodness gracious, I mean, how can I keep this company going? You have to know this, that sometimes the toughest people and teams and companies came up with some brand new innovative service or product during the worst time because it solved a challenge. Remember that. That's really important to know. Is there something that you can resolve with your products or services? You need to spin it as that and let people know about you. Humor helps. Smile more. And trust me on this one, I have software developers and you hardly ever see them even crack a smile. And usually their shades are drawn and they're very serious. And, I work with manufacturers. I love engineers. They're the best. My dad was an engineer, but, you see them and they're pretty much serious. And, you're not going to get everybody to lighten up. But, do look at humor. It helps. Smile more often, laugh. Life is so short. You just cannot take it that seriously. And when you have to take it seriously, you have to have those moments you look back on that you have some fun. Self-care is not selfish. Remember that. I am an avid outdoor person. I go hiking, I go camping, and I'm talking about the primitive tent camping. I would not be able to run this business if I didn't do that. I have noticed that men are not, they're not into self-care or don't understand it as much as women. I mean, we women, we might go get a pedicure or a massage or, something like that. Both men and women, you have to take care of yourself. You have to double back. You have to drink a lot of water. You have to watch what you eat. You have to get enough rest. If you're stressed, you have to take those times off. If you don't use all your times off, you need to start using some more vacation and personal days. That is very, very important. It's important to you. It's important to your families. Lastly, if you're in business now, boom, you've already overcome a lot of challenges. More power to you. I congratulate you. I'm going to leave you with some resources before we tie this up. But if you look on our website, I do have some good podcasts that I think is really would be beneficial for distributors and manufacturers to look at. We do have a supply chain leadership in today's time, in that I am talking about the newer technologies and talking about AI, robotics, etc. Then I've got one called the basics of supply chain and technology. So if you're a smaller company and you're starting to look for ERP system and look for WMS system or understand what this is, there's a whole world of, and I can never pronounce this word, acronyms. I think I pronounced it right. But, we get caught up, everybody in their industry says ERP and someone will be like, what is that? I just want a software that can run our business. Or a WMS. What is that? It's warehouse management system. Or barcoding. What is that? It's, collecting data by scanning a barcode, and it updates your system. But that's a good one. Simple advice for a manufacturer. So I gave you a few little tidbits today, but I have more on there where I do a deeper dive on that. And then I also have best practices in your warehouse. So those are definitely free podcasts you can take a look at. We also have an X chat called USA Manufacturing Hour, and we have a recap page and a lot of information that I get that I use to help my customers and implement in our solutions that we provide come from those chats. So you tell your marketing people if they want to start showing off your company and tweeting with us. It's every Thursday at 1 o'clock Central Standard Time. Hit up our blog. We constantly are updating our blog, but we have a supply chain and shipping blog, so you can search for things that you might want to look. I do have some of those tax credits and information like that. Definitely work with your MEP first, but we do also work with different companies that do a free cost analysis. And then, of course, your veteran information, definitely reach out to those veterans affairs and definitely start promoting that you do that. That is the end of my presentation. As I mentioned, smile. I hope you have a good day. I hope you learned something. Contact us at any time. I've got my phone number here. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. You can see that is Momo. That is my support dog. He's actually laying by my feet right now. He comes into work every day. But I'm open. So whatever questions you may have, Lindsay, if you want to open it up, I'll do the best I can.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much, Kirsten. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself or throw those into the chat.
Kirsten, I have a question for you.
Sure.
You talked about not being afraid to raise your prices.
Yeah.
Which I find it funny that we all pay for, everything's raised at the grocery store. We go out to eat. We just do it. But then sometimes when you talk to customers or clients, you raise your prices. They might have a little bit of pushback. How do you deal with that pushback?
That's a really good question, and that's easier said than done. First of all, you don't want to raise your prices without having a justifiable reason. Like when I go to the grocery store, even now, I'm like, what in the, I bought 2 bags of groceries and I just spent $250.
Yeah.
I didn't even buy wine. How did that happen? So you do have to be careful. But as a manufacturer and a distributor, the very first thing you need to know is you need to do an analysis of what you have to look at what your competitors are charging, and you really have to differentiate yourself because, if we talk groceries, potato is a potato, right? But is it a brand name potato and they're going to charge $2 more just because it has this logo on it, or is it this? You got to think of it. But if you have a higher quality product, you need to start gently doing it. I have customers that have done it on just a test area with a subset of customers, so they didn't do it across the board. So you need to be careful. But number one, you need to do an analysis. There are software tools out there that can help you with this. And then you have to be really fair, especially if you have repeat customers that always buy products from you. You definitely, you don't want to go, hey, I'm raising my prices by 400%. You want to look at raising them by a specific percentage amount. And you also need to let your customers know ahead of time, especially if you have existing repeat customers. Like I said, I raised my service rates, and it was by about 17 points. But let me tell you, that 17 points is going to help me hire a new person that I want on my support side. It's going to help pay my overhead, etc. I raised my software by a little bit, but I let all my customers know up front, that I'm going to do it. I gave them time so they were prepared, but I also explained, how did we do for you this last few years when we helped you every Saturday and Sunday when you needed us, etc. So you can't just wave a magic wand. But what I see very common is people who haven't raised their prices in years, and they actually are selling themselves short. Right. So you need to do it slowly, surely, analyze it the right way. And again, there are tools to do it, but don't be afraid to do it.
Perfect. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Are there any more questions? And feel free, if you think of a question after today's webinar, feel free we threw Ty's email into the chat. Kirsten, if you wouldn't care to maybe throw yours in there as well, so if somebody needs to copy and paste that over, they can do that as well. But feel free to send us a message, email us, give us a phone call, whether that be to Missouri Enterprise, or we can get that to Kirsten or vice versa. We'd be happy to help you in any way that we can. But we appreciate all of you for sitting through our webinar today and listening to the great insight that Kirsten has and what DCSC does. So thank you so much, Kirsten. And I think if we don't have any further questions, we'll go ahead and end the webinar for today.
Thank you, everyone, for your time. Thank you for the opportunity, Lindsay and Ty. Have a good afternoon.
Yeah,
thank you
thanks,
so
Kirsten.
much.
All right. Thank you.